2021 forecasting for each individual rising sign. I would just like to start with a general overview. And I'd also like to start by thanking the Almighty God for protecting us and helping us through 2020, as He will continue doing for us moving forward. Now we will see a shift towards more online schooling, shopping with the North Node in Gemini, as we've seen happening already in 2020, including most forms of communication, trade, other businesses and online businesses will become the norm. Cash will be less heard of, and eventually moving more towards the past and digital forms. So for most of 2021, we could be experiencing some uncomfortability as we have a difficult square aspect in the sky between Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus, both fixed signs that don't really want to budge, and both are co-rulers of this beautiful Aquarian age that we're moving into now. And they are not in a harmonious conversation, and therefore we can expect that this is going to take more work and will take more time before the idealistic Aquarian age can be reached, so to speak. We will have to contend with much more restrictions of our freedoms. We'll have to contend with restrictions that will include freedom of speech on all platforms, probably, information, the internet, separation, probably new legislation in regards to aviation in general and flying. Of course, a lack of privacy goes with tracking, as well as alliance integration. And really it is the old versus the new, and we will see many rebel and stand up for their rights, and we'll also see a lot of disciplinary action and fining throughout the year. It's very much an order out of chaos energy, so I don't want to pretend like this is going to be this amazing year. Of course, there will be blessings. It's very seldom in life where we only have good or only have bad. There's always a mixture of the two, and it'll all depend on how we approach our obstacles. We'll be forced to be more creative and to find new possibilities and to connect to the higher vibration of God. We will probably learn to live more moment to moment and to really appreciate the little things, to appreciate the family, our family that's around us that we normally take for granted. And it will be good for us to stay in gratitude of the things that we do have and do the best with what we can and what we do have, and to focus on nature and on the sunrise, to remind yourself that God is still in control and that the truth is steady and secure. And as long as you're rooted in the truth, nothing can sway you, and it doesn't matter what your circumstances or reality look like, you know where your roots are. So that will be very important throughout the year. And we will be moving towards living much lighter and more flexible. It will be wise to be prepared, and also to really look where you can be of service and of help in the community as well, and how people can help each other. I recently saw in Marketplace a lady that started a group that just basically gives things away. So it's people that maybe they didn't lose their job, and they still have an income and they're still okay, but they have maybe some children's shoes that they don't need anymore, and instead of selling them, they're donating them, or they're just posting it and someone can come pick it up, hey, I've got a size 7 this or that. And people are really starting to come together and help each other out, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more of that. And your currency is really going to become your talents and skills and the things that make you unique. And if you can sew something and someone else can build something, and you can trade services and you can trade things, we're going to see a lot more of that happening going forward. We'll see a lot of ups and downs, like I've said in my previous video as well, of the financial world. We're looking at a global recession for a long time. This is also a time where we will become more aware of each other's similarities and connectedness than each other's differences. And we will be more focused on our purpose and the contemplation of the deeper meaning of life and the deeper side of life. And that'll be more the order of the day. And Jupiter will bring in much learning and also guidance from above to help us navigate through this grief period of the loss of the familiar. And it will allow us to tap into the Creator's energy and make lemonade out of lemons. And through that, we will establish amazing connections with like-minded people, with our Creator, and there will be much spiritual blessings coming from this year going forward. So let's begin with your individual rising signs 2021 forecasting. Welcome, Gemini rising, sun or moon. Please listen to your rising sign first, as this will give you the most accurate placement in the forecast. Now let's start with where Pluto has been in your chart since 2008. This has been your 8th house, and the 8th house deals with past traumas. It deals with intimacy, your spouse's income, shared money that you have with others or a business partner. It can be injury. It's also an area of surgery and death, as well as gifts, as well as inheritance, debts, taxes, alimony, that type of thing. Now, with Pluto going through this area of your chart, this is a long transit, and Pluto is in general more comfortable in the 8th house. Now, with Pluto going through this area, it can sometimes start out a little bit on the difficult side, and then, as I call it, when it transmutes that darkness into light, it becomes a lighter transit. That's more where you can start seeing where your healing is taking place, so to speak. Now, usually with Pluto here, you'll go through a very significant change in your life. It'll be the death of something and the rebirth of something, but it'll usually be caused by either a crisis or by someone very powerful that has a huge impact on your life, or some powerful event that changes the way you think internally. It makes you take a really deep look at the deeper meaning of life as well. So it can just be something that really takes you there. It's not necessarily always someone specifically in your life. It could be, something just completely out there, but that's bringing your attention in a very powerful way. You want to get down to the truth of all of your questions with this transit. And it can indicate a major change in regards to shared resources. For example, maybe you have alimony and now you don't, or you're used to this coming in and now you don't. Or maybe you're sharing, money with a partner and now there's a major change with that. This is a time where you do not want to go into debt and end up under someone else's control because of financial reasons. In some cases, this can indicate inheritance, depending on other transits also supporting this. But it does mean that whatever you are doing in regards to other people's money or shared resources of some kind or intimacy issues, you want to play by the rules, because Pluto is in Capricorn here, and Saturn is dispositing over Pluto, and Saturn wants things done by the rules. So it can also mean that things could take a little bit longer in order for them to manifest. But this is a very important time in your life where you'll be growing in a very, very deep way. And then Neptune will be in Pisces, or is in Pisces, since 2011-12 to 2025. And this is in your 10th house. And your 10th house deals with your career. It deals with your reputation, your status, your boss or employer, parents. It deals with cousins. It deals with professionals and superiors, for example. And while Neptune is in this area, it's a long transit, so it might not be the case anymore. But for everyone, it'll be different depending on all the other things going on in their chart. So it can manifest in the fact that you can feel unsure of your path in life, and there can be confusion in regards to this. It can also be that you feel like you're sort of living a lie, that you're sort of pretending, to be something that you're not as far as your direction in life or your career is concerned. Or that you maybe, have ended up in a career where you feel you've been deceived, or maybe you thought it was going to be one way and it didn't turn out that way. It can also indicate that there's distrust in that area, that there's some kind of deception or people opposing you in some way. That's blocking your growth in that area. But finding what your true purpose in your career is going to be more important for you during this transit. Really trying to find something meaningful and fulfilling. It can also mean that you're just changing your attitude about your life path, and that you don't just do it as a validation, but also as a means of expressing yourself. Sometimes it can mean that you are more interested in a type of social work or dealing with people that need assistance with maybe drug rehabilitation, or it can be some kind of spiritual work that you're getting into, or maybe you are contemplating going into a career that's got to do with film or music. For example, something that has got a spiritual connection to it that sort of transcends, is going to be more something that you're going to be gravitating towards. In a negative way, it can bring confusion and disorientation. It can mean that it can bring in laziness, a slacking off attitude as far as career is concerned. But this can be channeled in a very positive way if you really also use that Pluto in your 8th house to really dig deep and find out what it really is that you want to spend doing with your life. And then Uranus will be in Taurus, or is in Taurus, as of 2018 until 2026. And this is in your 12th house. And your 12th house deals with endings. It deals with completions. It deals with the past and the subconscious. It deals with sleep. It deals with self-sabotage, bed pleasures, music, poetry, far-off places. It can also deal with secret enemies, separation, being jailed, being separated from society in some way, or being in hospital, or going through a period of depression or grief or sadness, or period of more of an inward, reflection. Now with Uranus here, it can bring sudden events in connection with your past, whether it brings in, memories from the past, maybe in dreams, or people from the past that suddenly reappear in your life in some way, maybe via the internet or something like that. It can bring up compulsive behaviors that stems from past issues. And it can be difficult for you if you are maybe getting sudden revelations of secrets or of hidden things that you weren't aware of. But this can, of course, also be a positive thing where you are discovering the truth about something, or maybe there's something that's caused you quite a lot of pain in your life, and now you're really uncovering the real truth about it, and you're being freed from that pain because maybe your perception was incorrect. Who knows? But really it's mainly upsetting because it's things that you are unaware of that sort of comes to your attention now. There's of course memories that can come up from the past, and this can have a connection also to food addiction, the way you spend your money, all those types of issues can come up during this time. And this gives you an opportunity to work on these issues from the past in order to prepare for your personal reinvention of yourself once Uranus crosses into your ascendant, where you'll want to really start making these deeper subconscious changes that you're working on now, that you've maybe been hiding even from others, that you are sort of bringing out into the open now in order for you to, when you really make your true, stage appearance, when Uranus actually goes to your first house, you'll be ready to show who you really are. On a mundane level, there can also be unexpected events in regards to finances with Uranus and Taurus. So be careful of financial dealings with others as well, also of hidden things in regards to that, and so forth. And then Saturn will be in Aquarius, your 9th house, as of December 2020 until 2023. And your 9th house deals with in-laws. It deals with travelers or people from faraway places, foreigners, people that are different from you, that speak a different language. It can be teachers, it can be grandchildren, and it can be long journeys, foreign countries, philosophy, religion, higher education, metaphysics, the law, and so forth. Now with Saturn here, you're really getting to know yourself and what you really believe in. You're really getting to know yourself through this transit. You can find that your you might be a bit more serious as well during this 2.5 year period. And it's really preparing you for when Saturn moves into your 10th house in 2023, where what you're working towards will bear fruit ambition-wise at that time. Guard against thinking that you have it all figured out and that you sort of know everything, and that you maybe even start judging others. So be careful of being judgmental and being a know-it-all. Stay open to learn and grow. And this will also allow you to learn more and gain more wisdom and maturity when you allow yourself to see things from other people's perspective as well. But it can bring you into circumstances where you get to deal with people that are different from you, or different places in the world, that will just naturally expand your way of thinking, whether you like it or not. It can sometimes indicate legal issues in some cases. It can indicate travel for maybe for study or some kind of obligation, like some kind of work-related issue. This can also be that you don't completely realize who you are right now. And this is where you're really investigating yourself. It can sometimes bring in an integration into a group of some kind, or a separation from a group. So this could be religious-wise or even political, or any type of belief system really, or philosophy. You could suddenly decide to study something unconventional in regards to beliefs in life. So this is a very enriching period for you. And then Jupiter will also be entering your 9th house with Saturn in December 2020, and it'll be there until till the end of the year, till around, I think, the 20th of November. And it'll briefly move into Pisces, your 10th house, around May, June, and then it'll retrograde back into the 9th house of Aquarius. Now, with Jupiter in your 9th house, this can indicate a travel opportunity, or a learning or a teaching opportunity, or it can even combine these aspects. You might be reading a lot or learning much. Your interest will be very heightened in learning and gaining more perspective on life, and you might have way more interest in philosophy and metaphysics, and you'll gain a lot of real practical and useful knowledge in regards to life, especially because Saturn is also in this area. You might want to spread information and disseminate or publish information, or, maybe make your beliefs known to the world. It can also bring in foreign people into your life, a teacher, someone that's really inspirational, or someone that's not necessarily an official teacher, but that teaches you a lot. And that you learn a lot from. Or you could be the teacher. Maybe you're becoming a teacher, or you're deciding to study teaching, something in those lines. And this can be a time where you are trying to maybe even back up your beliefs more with facts, so that you can spread it in a more accurate and accepting way for others to understand as well. And then while Jupiter's in your 10th house of Pisces, an inflated ego is a possibility. So be aware of that. Avoid being arrogant or domineering, especially with superiors or in your place of work. It can signify some kind of, advancement in the career area. Like you are getting recognition for something, or you've accomplished something, and there's some kind of blessing that's connected to that, maybe a raise or a higher position or a promotion. It can indicate travel for work. It can indicate a field of work in regards to travel or something foreign, import or export, preaching to the world. It can deal with the law. It can deal with healing, and also, did I say teaching? I think I said teaching. It can also indicate maybe shadowing a job or apprenticing for practical hours for a period, before Jupiter actually moves back into the ninth house again. Maybe you are busy studying something, and then you're actually applying that knowledge when Jupiter goes into the 10th house, apprenticing somewhere or shadowing a job. And then when it goes back into the ninth house, it'll be more meaningful for you, your studying, because you've had some practical experience, and this will assist you in directing your learning in the ninth house more purposefully. And then Mars will be entering Taurus around the 7th of January, and this will be your 12th house, the house we spoke about that deals with grief, loss, far-off places, separation, self-sabotage, far-off places, endings, and so forth. Now, with Mars here, you could be dealing with frustration, like you feel like you're on the back burner. Maybe you're working behind the scenes and you're not getting the recognition you deserve or you feel you deserve. Or you're just working from home or from a faraway place, or you're working in separation because of circumstances. This can sometimes cause you to express yourself unnaturally and create the wrong impression because of past subconscious patterning coming out in your communication. It can even feel like that you have a secret enemy during this time, like someone that's blocking you in some way. Try and avoid upsetting situations because there can be anger flare-ups because of past things that come up. But this is coming up because you need to work on this, and you need to transmute this. And you need to really ask yourself, where am I defeating myself? This can also be a time where you maybe want to spend more time alone in order to work on yourself. Maybe go on a retreat or, see a counselor of some kind. In some cases, it can really help to help others during a time where you are saddened by something, in order to bring healing to them as well as yourself, because you gain a lot of understanding and healing when you are hurting and you're helping others that are worse off than you. It changes your perspective on your own problems as well. Sometimes this transit can indicate nightmares or aggressive dreams or feelings, and subconsciously it can even sometimes bring in a male figure from the past, maybe even I've had a client that had his son come back into his life that he gave up for adoption years and years ago, that suddenly appeared on the scene when Mars transited his 12th house. So that's also possibilities, people from the past. Now, financially, you want to make sure that you are aware that with Uranus and Taurus, there is financial fluctuations, ups and downs. It can be a bit unpredictable at times, So stay flexible, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It can also sometimes indicate that you have a sexual obsession, or you're having a bit more action in the bedroom with this transit. Sometimes it can mean the ending of a job. If it's, if a sudden ending of a job, maybe you just decide you've had enough and you're quitting, or it's just the end of a contract of some kind and you're now working towards a new job. Now, while Mars is in this area, it will also conjunct Uranus, that's in the 12th house. And this can indicate sudden upsets. It can indicate erratic behavior, a sudden surprise, suddenly a secret that pops out from the past, or information from the past that suddenly comes to your attention. It can cause you to act impulsively, and it can have a very much of a break-free energy, like a rebellious energy. It can be difficult to make plans with this transit. There's a danger in regards to accidents. So be careful, because this will be due to your own recklessness or carelessness. In some cases, it can indicate a need for surgery. And you want to watch your health during this time. Just for unexpected things. With Mars conjunct Uranus, you can also deal with inflammation or headaches and things like that. And also any accidents that's got to do with machinery, fire, knives, vehicles, trains and cars, airplanes, things like that. And then Mars in the second house, he'll be traveling through there, which is your house of Cancer. And he will be in that area around the 23rd of April. And this can bring up disputes with others about what you own. This is your area of ownership, your area of property, in your income. It is your values, it's your movable possessions, it's your talents, it's what you eat, it's your security, your values and safety. And it can also deal with your ancestors and also your spousal relationship, or relationship with significant other or a business partner. Now, like I said, it can bring up disputes in ownership of possessions or property or things like that. You can find that you're more impulsive with spending during this time. You might be thinking of starting a business during this transit that's got to do with a talent, or just maybe you're starting to work from home when Mars transits here in the house of in the sign of Cancer. Or it could be a business with women, or in regards to women, or homes, or food, or with your mom. You might find that you are eating faster, or maybe you're eating spicier food. You can be more selfish financially as well during this transit. Watch your impulsive spending, like I've said. But during this time, you want to act towards the future with Mars in this house. You're thinking about the future here. And this can also increase your anger issues, because you'll be a bit more emotional and reactive when Mars is in this area. But this will give you the energy to really build on things and to work and get a lot done during this time. Whatever you are working on, you'll get a lot more done. And then while Mars is here, it'll oppose Pluto. And during that transit, you can meet up with resistance, like a power struggle of some kind. to do with your and someone else's resources, shared resources. It can sometimes indicate a culmination of persistent effort, but you or someone else could act in disregard to the other person. So this can be a really nasty conflict if it's not handled properly. This is not a time where you want to go at it alone. If this is a lawsuit about, a divorce or something like that, or anything that's very serious, you want to get help with this. You want to watch extreme violence under this transit and try and hold back anger issues. In a positive sense, this can be really powerfully transforming, and it can be really good for the libido, and it can indicate some very positive gains as well in regards to money, or it can be a lot of opposition. So it's going to mainly depend on many other things going on in your chart, but I tend to say the heavier potentials in order for you to be more prepared, because obviously when something is positive, it's just wonderful. But it's better to be expectant of anything than to be disappointed. And then Mars will be in your third house of Leo by the 11th of June. And during its transit in the third house deals with your siblings, your relatives, your neighbors, your neighborhood. It deals with your commute to work, short trips, your skills, your mind, what you're thinking about, your early schooling. It deals with communication and letters and mail and languages and learning and decision making and so forth. So your daily pace will be affected by Mars being here. It'll be faster. You might even experience arguments with your neighbors or the people that you're surrounded by in your everyday environment, your relatives. It can help to work on something together, like maybe build a fence. Or maybe it's just indicating that you could be working on something with relatives or neighbors or someone in the community. Maybe it's something really positive. But you will be feeling much more strongly about your opinions and your ideas and your beliefs with this transit. You could be spending time working on writing or oral speeches. Choose your battles wisely, because there can be oral arguments here, and ask yourself if it's really necessary. The more insecure you are, the more reactive you will be. But this is a wonderful transit to sell a product or an idea, business-wise. Your mind will be able to work longer and harder on issues. Your intellectual ability will be more sharp. You can have violent and aggressive thoughts during this transit, so be aware of that. And be aware of accidents, car accidents, just in general. When it comes to the third house, you want to watch your commute and that type of thing, your vehicle. Have you checked your vehicle? Does it need winter tires, or, does it need an oil change, that type of thing. And then while Mars is here, it will oppose Saturn and at some point. And this can be an irritating transit where, Mars wants to go and Saturn says no. So this can make sexual relations unsatisfactory. It can bring ego conflicts. It can bring a sense of inadequacy where you're kind of also met up with discipline. You can feel lonely and cut off from others with this transit. And so it can be quite intense, but it is really good for working and concentrating on something. it can physically slow you down. And it can sometimes manifest in health issues. And so it's important that you take care of your health. Listen to your body and the signals that it's giving you. And it's a good time to really just, exercise off some steam. And then Mars will be in your 4th house of Virgo by the 29th of July. And your 4th house deals with domestic affairs. It deals with your home, your parents, your family. It deals with your childhood, your roots. It can also deal with property, inheritance, death, and so forth. Now with Mars here, it will make you more picky. It'll make you more judgmental in this area. So be careful with your interactions with your family and those that you live with. It can sometimes indicate working from home because it's in the 4th house. It can activate unconscious behaviors and feelings from your childhood. So again, this can come up causing you to act in a childish way or in an inappropriate way in a situation. So be careful of your responses. Try and stay in control of your reactions and look for when you get triggered, where is this coming from? And what is it that you still need to deal with in regards to your childhood that needs to be transmuted and worked out? It can also indicate that you're actively working on your home, that you're building a home or you're physically working and fixing things. It can bring conflict between family members. So you need to try and be more cooperative and more compromising and be more aware of others' feelings and their perspectives and views, because Mars here can make you a bit selfish, not necessarily on purpose. It's just that you are you're going through this energy right now, and it can make you act in selfish ways. It can even make you want to live alone or just want to spend more time alone. It can bring accidents in the home in regards to knives, fire. So be careful with, cooking, cutting carrots, leaving the fireplace on, things like that. You don't want to overdo work in this area, because Mars in Virgo can be a really hard worker. You can really push it and get a lot done. But you become difficult in the process. You can become self-critical as well as critical of others, and have high expectations of other people. And they're not going through this transit right now. So they are not experiencing this the way you are. Maybe some of them are, but not everyone will see things and do things the way you do. And you need to be able to understand that during this time. But don't overdo it, because it will affect your health. So it's better to try and work alone with this transit if you can, or a bit more independently, because you're not going to be that much of a team player. Health can be affected with this. Like I said, if you overdo it, your body can show that and make you stop. You can have an upset stomach or headaches. So it might be a good idea to, exercise, get some of that tension out as well, and take care of your heart health and stress, and because you'll be more perfection oriented. You'll want everything perfect, and you'll notice every little thing that's not. So be careful of that, because it can make it really hard to live with someone that's overly critical like that. But luckily, this is a short transit, so don't worry about it too much. Mars will also oppose Neptune during this transit, and this can sometimes make you feel a bit discouraged. in your daily life demands, or a bit inadequate in some way. And it can sometimes bring in misunderstandings at work. But this is not a time to take risks. Also be, again, careful of deception in regards to the home and work axis. Avoid escapism. And it can also indicate sometimes social work. And sometimes this can indicate that you feel like you are doing all the work. And it makes you angry, like you're doing everything, everywhere. And you're sort of not getting the assistance or the recognition for what you're doing. And maybe you're feeling that it's time for you to get a new job because of how it's affecting your home life, or something of that nature. And then Mars will be in Scorpio, your 6th house, as of October 30th. Now, your 6th house deals with your health. It deals with your work environment, your employees, if you have a business, tenants, your uncles and aunts. It can be your doctor, a nurse, or a dentist. It can be a pet. It can be a caretaking situation, a sickness that you have, civil service work, animal husbandry, that kind of thing. And also just duties and responsibilities in general. Now, with Mars in this area, your drive is more forceful and purposeful. You're more determined and courageous. You kind of have a do or die kind of attitude. You have a powerful sex drive. And you take pride in your work. You're hardworking with this transit. It's very meaningful for you. Now, it can sometimes bring in conflict with coworkers or with a boss. And it can be that you feel that you're not being acknowledged for what you're doing. Or maybe if you're the boss, you're not acknowledging your employees enough. Or maybe you're all together on a project and you want all the recognition instead of equally distributing each person's contribution in what you are doing. It can sometimes bring on headaches and infections or fevers. Of course, this is all depending on other transits as well. I'm just giving you the possibilities. It can bring accidents at work in regards to fire, electricity, machinery, and so forth. And inflammation physically can be an issue with Mars here. So because this is the 6th house, you can overwork yourself in this area. So be careful of that, because that can manifest in a health, way. So exercise, get rid of your aggression and extra stress, and take care of your body. And then, your duties and responsibilities might pick up. There'll be more. They might not be that difficult to sort out, but there'll be more of them, or you'll be very busy sorting it out. And then Mars will oppose Uranus in your 12th house while it's transiting through this 6th house. And this can bring impatience. It can bring a striking out at others. It can bring accidents or health injuries, outbursts. It can mean you're dealing with a secret enemy of some kind. Maybe it's even yourself, your own subconscious that's your enemy, or your own subconscious, what would you call them? Your self-sabotaging habits that's coming into play suddenly. Because Uranus acts suddenly. Mars also, they're very unpredictable. So this can be a very unexpected, unpredictable thing that comes to your attention or that happens. And it can even be a very rebellious type of act, like you just suddenly want to quit your job, or you suddenly decide to change your life and what you do every day. In some cases, it can be a sudden financial issue or hospitalization in regards to someone. It doesn't necessarily mean you. It can also be related to epilepsy or anxiety, shocking news or information from the past that can take you by surprise. It can even be a dream that you have that gives you an insight and reveals something hidden. And let's have a look at the retrograde planets for the year. Now, we will have Mercury retrograding in all 3 air signs in 2021. So it really emphasizes air in a really big way, since we're also moving into the age of Aquarius. Now, Mercury retrogrades will be in retrograde will be in Aquarius as of January 30th until February 21st. And Aquarius, in your case, is your 9th house. So that's where Mercury will retrograde first. And as it retrogrades through Aquarius, you might find that you are rethinking or reassessing your beliefs, and you are maybe changing travel plans or adjusting travel plans or fine-tuning, a paper for school, for higher learning purposes. You could be just going deeper into some form of study or some form of belief or religion that you're looking into, because your thoughts will be more inward and deeper, and your beliefs might be tested during this Mercury retrograde. Don't believe any gossip that you could hear during this time from friends or coworkers or whoever, groups that you belong to, because they could possibly be false. This is a great time to clean up work, like if you're working on an essay, to clean up the details, to fine-tune a project, maybe a book that you're done writing and you want to publish it. Now's the time to really fine-tune it, look over the little things before you go out and publish it. It's not a wonderful time to do testing and write tests, but sometimes this can indicate you redoing a test that maybe you've done previously, and with this Mercury retrograde, it comes back, as a redo. You can also really meditate on beliefs and ideas and really get profound insight in this area. But you will probably be less social in general with Mercury retrograde in this area. And then Mercury will retrograde in Gemini as of May 30th until June 23rd. And this is your first house. And this means that you will maybe experience a rescheduling in your schedule. Maybe your driving route to work has changed. There's construction and you have to be, you're taking a detour. You might be rethinking a lot about how you approach life. You could be really thinking inwardly on how you express yourself and how others see you. This can also be a time where you really want to make sure your communication is clear, especially also with your significant others and close relationships, as there can be misunderstandings here. They might not understand what you're really trying to portray. Your speaking and the way you look and the way you show yourself to the world can be influenced through this. You could be, rethinking that or reassessing that or changing your look. or how you express yourself, how you speak. Maybe you're learning a new language. But it's a time where you want to take more care of your arms and joints and hands and lungs. And pretty much your schedule especially. And sometimes with these Mercury retrogrades, there can be friends and relatives and people from the past that come either back into your mind or into your life where you're spending time rethinking issues about it, or dealing with those issues from the past in regards to this person, and it gives you the opportunity to heal it. Whenever things are coming up for you from your past, there's a reason for it. And in order for you to move forward as light and open as you can, you want to deal with all the heaviness and get rid of it. And while Mercury is retrograde in Libra, it'll be September 27th until October 18th. And this is in your 5th house that deals with love affairs, pregnancy, children, fun in general, your creative projects, what you do to escape, like go to the movies, sport. It's your children, and it can be a messenger or an advisor as well, and speculation. Now with Mercury retrograde here, you could find that you're having very meaningful discussions with your children maybe. You might be realizing that you need to spend more quality time with them, and you are making a point of it to really have more fun and maybe reassess what fun is for you or for them. Maybe they've grown and they're not, the same things aren't fun for them anymore. So you're looking at this again and reassessing how you as a family can really have fun together. You can be redoing a creative project or realizing that it needs more work or it needs to be changed in some way, and so forth. It can bring back a child from the past as well. For example, a child that was adopted, or maybe a child that moved out and it didn't work out, so they're moving back in. It can be a lover that pops back on the scene, or like I said, in your mind. And it can bring back issues in relationships in general. Love relationships, business relationships can be affected by this. Miscommunication, arguments, misinformation. So like with any other Mercury retrograde, you want to make sure that your communication is clear. If you send an email, make sure it went through. Otherwise, if it's really important, pick up the phone. Make sure you actually talk to the person. Listen well. Make sure you understand. Don't lose your electronics. Be aware of where you put them. Be aware of theft of them. Don't purchase electronics if you can. Double check paperwork if you're traveling. You might experience issues with car trouble or navigating internet, power, your credit card at the ATM or at the, pay point somewhere. So all the general Mercury retrograde rules would apply. And while Mercury is retrograde in Libra, you don't want to do any beauty procedures or any makeovers of any kind if you can reschedule it if possible. And then let's have a look at Venus. Venus will retrograde in December of the 19th until January the 29th. And that will be December 19th, 2021 till January 29th, 2022. And this can be issues related to love and money that can stagnate or just bring challenges in relationships. Again, old lovers can surface and so forth. And you could be reassessing your intimate life. This is your 8th house, where Venus will be retrograding in Capricorn, that we spoke about. And This can have something to do with shared finances. Past love traumas can be brought up in this case, sexual abuse issues from the past, people or situations from the past can come up that you need to deal with. So this can sometimes be upsetting just because you're dealing with wounding from the past, but it's ultimately healing. It's ultimately for your good. It can sometimes indicate that you're paying off debt, or you're rethinking how you share your money with your partner, with a business partner, or how you're investing your money. Who are you owing? And, it can be reversals. It can be a sudden refund or a sudden, surprise. You didn't pay this bill for 3 months. And it's huge. It can be anything to do with that kind of issue. You might be very aware of what others think of you during this time. You could be comparing your worth to money and what you own and what others own, and be maybe jealous even of others wanting someone else's possessions or wishing you had what they had, or it can be the other way around. But again, during this time, you don't want to do any beauty procedures. You want to pay off debt and as much as you can and stay out of debt as much as you can. And you don't want to be investing during a Venus retrograde as well. And then let's have a look at Jupiter. Jupiter will be retrograding June 20th to October 18th. And this is a period of inner spiritual growth and reflection. And you'll feel more compassionate towards friends, towards others. There'll be more of an emphasis on the meaning of life and your life direction, because this will be in your 9th and 10th house. It'll retrograde from the 10th back into the 9th. So this is a time where you might want to spend more time in meditation and in prayer. This is also a time for blessings. You might have a larger understanding now of where you've been. Your interest in faith will be stronger because you'll go within, and you might want to really learn more and grow your knowledge on the world out there and the bigger picture, and your inner spiritual journey will be benefiting through this. It can sometimes indicate opportunity for traveling, but it can really, in this area of your chart, it can really ask you that question to reassess what your true calling is and what what is it that you want to do with your life? What is your purpose? And then Saturn will be retrograding May 23rd until October 11th. And this is in your 9th house of Aquarius, the area of religion, beliefs, higher education, teaching, and so forth. And Saturn reminds us of reality and the things and aspects of life that we can't escape, like taxes, rules, legislation, the length of life, time itself. And it's a time of restructuring. And during this retrograde, you could be questioning your own beliefs. You could be finding that your allegiance to groups could be tested, and you could be cutting ties during this transit. You could feel a bit inadequate or guilt of some kind. Maybe you've been living a life that's not aligned with what you really believe, and you feel guilty about it, or you've been doing things that you know are not really ethical, and there's a guilt connected to this. You could be rethinking a study program, a travel trip, people related to this area. such as your grandchildren or in-laws, or teachers. But this is a time where you'll go inward, you'll be questioning your beliefs more, and your purpose in life. And you might even feel that you are disciplining yourself in a way. Are you really taking care of the responsibilities that you need to in this area of your life? And then let's have a look at the eclipses for 2021. On the 26th of May, there will be a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius in your 7th house. And this is your area of marriage. It's your area of close business partnerships. It's the area of open enemies and lawsuits, niece and nephew, lawyers, etc. Now, with the lunar eclipse, this is an ending or a culmination or a fruition or something coming to its head. And with eclipses, there's a long period of influence. It can be 6 months to a year. It's usually about a year. So it's not necessarily something that's going to be ending on this day, but it could. But it can also be signaling that this is the fruition period of this. This is something that's coming to a head in this area of your life. And so this could, of course, be the end of a marriage. It can be a divorce. It can be the end of a long single relationship. And now finally there is someone there. It can be the end of an agreement or a contract that you were on that's now finished or finishing up. It can be a lawsuit that's finally getting settled. It can even be in regards to moving to a certain place and the contract paperwork that's got to do with that. And it can also deal with the people, like I said, of that associated area. And then we will have, on the 10th of June, there will be a solar eclipse in Gemini in your 1st house. And this would be a new beginning of some kind, or a seed of intention, or a new idea, or a new plan for this area of your life. And your 1st house deals with you and your physical self, the way you present yourself, the way you're seen by others, the way you look, the way you express yourself, and the way others perceive you. So this can be a new look. This can be a changeover in how other people see you. You can have a new attitude on life, and or you could be making a change on yourself physically. Maybe you're getting a tattoo or something. But usually this is a profound change that's happening with you yourself and how you choose to be seen by the world. And it can also be the initiation of a new direction in your life that sort of affects everything else. And then the 19th of November, there will be a lunar eclipse in Taurus, your 12th house of endings and seclusion, separation, far off places, that area of your life. Now, this is a culmination of sorts. So this could be the end of a self-undoing habit. Maybe you are quitting alcohol or quitting, sugar. It can be that you are finally letting go of the past and pain from the past and you are moving towards healing. It can be the end of a secret love affair. It can be the end of a musical career, or an enemy, a battle with an enemy that you've had that just suddenly lifted. It can be a period of grief that's finally over, or a long trip to a faraway place that's coming to an end, or even the planning towards it is coming to completion now, and things are starting to look up. And then on the 4th of December, there will be a solar eclipse in Sagittarius in your 7th house. And this will now be a new beginning in this area. So this is the area that's getting hit twice for you in 2021 with eclipses. And this could indicate that you have a new partner or a new beginning in your close relationship with your partner. It can indicate a new business partner, a new contract. Maybe you're signing a contract for a new house. It can indicate that there's just a new connection with your close relationships. Now, I will not be discussing all of the aspects of the eclipses during this reading. There's just too much to look at. So I will be discussing them throughout the year as they manifest. So please check out my videos then you can see more in detail what these eclipses will be about. And then for most of the year, there will be an uncomfortable aspect between Uranus and Taurus and Saturn and Aquarius. They're both in fixed signs, which makes them more stubborn. And this is really an uncomfortable aspect in the sense that it's the old versus the new. It's restriction versus freedom. So there will be an uncomfortability between your 9th and 12th houses. So this can involve things like your beliefs and maybe, in regards to the issues with the law, in regards to that. It can be with teaching and faraway places or travel. Maybe you can't travel for the trip you're supposed to go on to because of legislation. Like I said, it could be issues with the law. It can be anything to do with the 9th or 12th houses. But collectively, the whole world will be experiencing uncomfortability. It'll just play out in different ways, of course, also for each individual person. Now, what I would recommend for you, Gemini, for 2021 is the Angelica Essential Oil and the black Tourmaline crystal. Angelica oil has relaxing qualities on the nerves and muscles. It's also sometimes referred to as the oil of angels, and it's really calming. It helps to restore happy memories. It brings peaceful sleep, and it gives digestive support and emotional release. So of course you could put this in a diffuser or use it with a carrier oil underneath your feet. Please just check any contraindications, as I'm not giving you any medical advice here. And then the black tourmaline crystal can be used to repel and protect against negative energy. It can also be an energy deflector, which helps against exposure to excessive amounts of radiation. And it helps increase one's physical vitality, emotional stability, intellectual acuity. And the Native American Indians believed that it could dispel bad energy that other people throw on you and actually increase your well-being and your strength. It's a wonderful stone to awaken creativity as well as altruism. And please check the links in the description box below, and I'll also have the links to the essential oils in there. Well, Gemini, thank you for allowing me to guide you through 2021. May God bless you and keep you, and may the sun shine bright on you this day and this year going forward.